Hello, and welcome to another game development broadcast for Project CSK. As usual, I am the creator of the project, and the online name that I go by is Des. We're going to continue working on the project like we have been doing for quite some time now. And I made some progress between the last time I broadcasted and today, but I also came across some stuff that I need to address. Specifically, there's some bugs that have been introduced at some point because I was just implementing logic and not thoroughly testing it in intricate detail to see if I can catch any of these bugs. So there's been some bugs logically in there that I need to address, and they'll come up periodically. I don't know the cause of it, so the root cause, so I can't necessarily implement a solution until I find it. So you'll see these bugs periodically, but I've also made some decent progress as well in terms of implementing some of the functionality that I wanted to implement so that we can continue to move forward with more of kind of the game mechanics and a little bit of eye candy, like the visual aesthetics here and there. So let's jump into it and see how that's going. If you're new here, hello and welcome. I broadcast for fun and for educational purposes as well, periodically on Tuesdays, actually consistently on Tuesdays and on Fridays, to give you a behind the scenes look of what it is that I'm working on, and maybe you get some entertainment value out of it, or maybe you get some educational value out of it. But either way, I enjoy doing it, and it's a project that I have a lot of fun working on, so I'm going to keep doing it as well for the foreseeable future, basically. Anyway, so that's the short version. The long version, it's a long story. But if you got questions, or if you just want to say hi, by all means, feel free to do so. I don't mind. Okay, so I recently, or not so recently, but I got it to this point where you can move around, right? And you can place the bomb, and you get this nice little animation of when the explosive is placed, and now the collider is working correctly. So once you place it and you move outside of it, there's a trigger that activates the collider, and now I can no longer pass through it. So once you place it and you go outside of the collider boundaries of the object, you can't pass through it anymore. Now it's a barrier that you can't pass through. And the animation looks really good. Okay, and then from there we go into the game room. I have 2 test accounts in there. Okay. I have implemented some of the power-ups. I have not yet implemented the clock. I have not yet implemented the amount of usable explosives that the user has on the UI, so like on the bottom middle area, but we'll get to that. I was kind of trying to track down these bugs, and they're tricky. They're really tricky to find. But anyway, so here's kind of where we're at right now. I can move around. I can place an explosive. It will explode, get this nice visual animations and aesthetics. The objects do use the object pool system correctly, and you see there's one bug right there. The first bomb disappeared while the second one appeared. So that's when I need to find out what's going on there, because you are supposed to be able to place multiple. And then now that I get the pickup items, they show up in kind of the top right kind of area, just under the scene change button. The pickup items now work correctly. So it's definitely making progress. So that's kind of some of the stuff that I was working on. Like I said, I need to find these bugs. I need to find how to do them. This is where other players can be of a lot of value in having other people that can help you and play it and figure out exactly how to replicate a bug. Definitely comes into, or is very valuable, but that'll come in later on when we get to that point. But you can see right now you can chain the bombs, and they work very well. So It's all working. And one of the other bugs that I found was that the game controller does not work well right now. At some point, the game controller, the gamepad support, it broke. Well, not broke, but some of the functionality kind of conflicts with some of the other functionality. So it's basically not usable at this point. And I noticed something too that was very strange. When using the controller, the frames per second, so the FPS performance just drops, which I thought was really strange because there shouldn't really be a difference between kind of the frames per second when you're putting in input from the either the oh, I knocked myself out. When you're providing input either from a keypad or a keyboard or from touchscreen or from a gamepad, that shouldn't affect the performance because they're all using the same logic, really. It's just different input types using the new Unity input system. So I'm not sure what's going on there. That's something I definitely want to look at. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. So what I'm thinking of doing is I want to identify or figure out what's causing these bugs, of course, but I can't just do that. I'm hoping that I'll come across them as I'm developing. So the next thing I want to bring in is the clock, and I want to bring in the ammo or the amount of usable explosives that's illustrated in the bottom middle area. So let's do that, and hopefully along the way we come across some way of figuring out these bugs and finding out what's causing them and then address them logically, because it's not crashing, right? So that means it's purely logical because of something that I've done and I haven't properly taken into account certain functionality, I guess, really. Anyway, so to do that, I will need to open up the other project. Okay, so while that's loading, let's have a quick look just to see that the hierarchy is correct here. So there's all of our objects, that's correct. And then we go into our pool, and there's our object pool with all of them disabled. I don't know if it's necessary to disable it, or I don't know if you should be disabling it or not. When you put something into an object pool, what I might end up doing is just moving them off screen. Because if I just move them off screen, I don't need to activate and deactivate them, because activate and deactivate may not be the best solution. But we'll see when we get later into it. So for right now, though, it seems to be working well. Okay, so what I want to bring in is the clock and the explosives. The explosives will stack at the bottom here, and the clock is this one over here. The clock is probably easier to bring in. So let's bring that in first, is kind of what I'm thinking. And then we'll make a prefab out of it, so then we can reuse it as we need to. Okay, so we'll go into camera, GUI, HUD. And then we should have an object called... Oh, sorry, I keep forgetting which screen you guys see. If you see me talking and you think I'm on the wrong screen, you're welcome to ask. I do flip through the screens quite a bit, but I'll try to be mindful of that. It's something that's so easy to forget when I'm, just going off on a direction. Okay, so for the clock, what I want to do is bring in this object right here. And it looks like a fairly simple object. So it's just the object. We got a couple of scripts on it, a container of sorts. That's really a canvas. And then the text. And it's just a text field. Okay. So that looks fine. Okay, yeah, let's try that. So it's really just the parent object. So we will create. I keep forgetting the shortcut. And I use. It's not the nesting I wanted it in, but okay, that's fine. I'll relocate it. So we'll call it the same HUD time clock. Let's move it into the proper nesting. Okay, so under this, what we want is a TextMesh Pro. So we'll go UI TextMesh Pro. Just want to make sure it didn't add an event system. Yes, it did. Okay, so I want to remove that. And the way that I use the canvas is I want to be very specific in where everything goes. So I don't use screen space. I use world space for the canvas, and I'm very specific about where I put it. So this one here is going to have a width of 60 and a height of 20. Let's reset the position. Okay, and then the text inside of it, right? What I do with this is I tell it to scale to the parent. So Shift Alt and then click on this one here. So it scales to the parent, so that now the canvas controls the size of the text area, not the text size, but the text area. And then our text is going to be font size 14. It's going to be of color black, of course. So we'll take our canvas, our text, our Z position should be 0. It still looks massive. Oh yeah, right. Canvas need to set size to 0.01 because we want it to match to the pixel size, and the pixel is 100 times smaller than the size of units of measurement within Unity. Okay, so then let's put it 0, 0 for now. Okay, so that's our text. Doesn't look great yet, but it'll look better. And its rotation is off. Okay, let's adjust that. We want the rotation to match that of the parent. Okay, so that looks good so far. And then let's see, what font are we using? Okay, so text should be centered. I'm just trying to match the other one. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Position-wise, what we'll do is we will move it up to the desired position, which doesn't really matter, but it's just for a for now kind of thing, right? Really, it's the position is going to be determined by this script that I use that will actually position it using the screen resolution. So whatever the screen resolution is, it will auto adjust with an offset. So let's say you tell it to be in the top right corner, it'll go to the top right corner, and then if you tell it position offset X minus and then Y minus, it'll go to that. So it doesn't matter what the screen resolution is. And that's how I like to use the canvases and whatnot. Just personal preference. Of course, you can always use the screen space that Unity has, but with canvases, I almost always change it to world space, and I use local positioning, and I set it myself. It's just one of those things I like to do personally. It's just because I'm used to doing it that way in other engines too. Like when we're working inside of Flash or inside of whatever else, I like to just set it manually. That way I have more control over it too. And that'll be a constant theme you'll see periodically, is me making stuff that Unity may or may not kind of already have, but I make it because I want to learn from it, of course. And it's something that by doing it myself, I get a better understanding of it, so then I can manipulate it and make it do something different, something stylish, something more of the kind of functionality that I need, instead of using or being completely reliant on Unity and their components, which is good. They're really well made, but sometimes they either don't do exactly what you want, or they don't fit your specific requirements, or it's too much. It's too bloated in terms of functionality. Like, for example, the Unity UI stuff, their buttons and all of that stuff, they're great, right? But their performance is terrible, right? It's because they do a lot of different things. It's more than just a button. They're made to be this all-in-one solution thing, which is great if you want that kind of thing. But when you don't, you can't really take functionality away from it, right? So then instead, you need to know how to make your own, right? To then be able to just have only what you need and have it be very performant, or to make it do something different, which I sometimes do, which you'll see me do from time to time. Like, for example, one of the things that I made that I spent a fair bit of time making was the directional flow on UI navigations. When you run something, if you leave it on auto for selectable objects, buttons, and UI elements, Unity will auto-generate what it thinks the pathing should be. Like if you press arrow right or left or whatever, Unity will determine that for you, right? But in a complex navigation, it's not going to be able to guess what your project needs. So you need to be comfortable with writing that kind of logic and then making it do exactly what your project needs, right? So there's a learning process, but once you learn it, then it's a really good skill or knowledge to have, especially if it's reusable logic and you have it as a component, then you can use it throughout in your project or other projects too, which is definitely a bonus. Okay, so what we want to do is we need to add 2 classes here. Okay, more than 2 classes. So what we need to do is we need to add the viewport position helper. It'll be in the top right, of course. And then our offset, we'll go X minus 0.4 and Y at 0.1. So it'll snap into that position when we run it. Not right now, of course. Right now, it'll just be whatever position it's at. Okay, and then the other one that we need to do is to add HUD time clock. Perfect. Okay. So then this needs to know the container, which is really the canvas. We'll call it canvas container. And the reference to the TextMesh Pro text object. Okay. And then let's see, what else do we need? Is there anything else that we need? Let's put in default value in the text. Okay, so that'll be our default value, and I think we can test it now. Everything is set. So once we run it, it should snap into position. Okay, so obviously it's not there right now, but once we go to a game room, I mean, it's not visible right now until it needs to be. Okay, so there's our timer. We'll want to move the position. So the X position, I want to move it over a little bit more. Actually, we could even center it now that I think about it. Yeah, let's center it. So remove the X offset. So that'll go to 0. The Y offset, we'll leave it, and then we'll go top middle. I think that makes more sense at this time, because it's getting a little cluttered in the top right corner. And of course, I'll be moving stuff around at a later time. So for right now, I just need it to be visible. Okay, and I'd say that's pretty good. So there's our countdown clock. I could probably move it down a little bit more. But that's our clock until the round time runs out and the next round will begin. So I'll leave that there for now. Okay, so then the next thing that I want to do is the power-ups. So the power-ups also, or sorry, not the power-ups, the amount of items that you have, which is your ammunition. That's what I called it. Okay, so we have ammunition, and then we have, oh, I see, okay. Okay, so I'll need to rebuild that. Okay. I just want to wait for the round timer to run out, and then I just want to see it reset for the next round. So we'll just wait for that. Okay, and then the next round, waiting for more players. Ready, set, go, and there's our timer. Perfect. Okay, so yeah, that's working. All right, so let's do the ammunition next. This will also, of course, go under the HUD. Okay, so we'll have that, and then a child object of that will be explosives. That will need, so that has a script, and then I have this other object in there too, which I'm not sure exactly what that is, but we'll figure it out. We will figure it out. Okay, so from there, from ammunition, explosives, and then inside of here will be the first element. So let's go with explosive. or did I call it something else? I don't even know if I have it in this project. Bomb. There we go. Bomb. That's what it is. Okay, and then position wise, we want to move ammunition down. So we want to move ammunition kind of X. Actually, why don't we just use that script? Yeah, instead of positioning it like that. Okay, so we'll move it into position. So we'll say 0.4-ish. No, actually X shouldn't matter. We'll go Y minus 2.2. Okay, but then we'll add the viewport position helper, and then we will add it to the bottom middle with an X offset of something. We'll figure it out. Yeah, that looks about right. And then let's go ahead and run it and see what happens. I do need to change that graphic. Okay, and then it snaps. Okay, so the Y offset, because it's snapping right to the very, very bottom, we need to have maybe like a 0.2 positive value offset. Something like that. Okay, a minus value offset. I didn't mean to. I think the math might be a little strange, but okay. All right, so at -2, it seems to be okay. Though I think it's up a bit too high. So let's go with -1. And let's try that again. You can see it kind of jump right on the play. Yeah, I'm okay with that position. So that position is fine for now. Okay, so then let's look at the scripts. What do we need to add in terms of the scripts? So the parent one has nothing. This one does, though. It's called HUD ammunition bombs. Do we have it here? I wonder. No. No, we don't have it. Okay, so we will grab it and bring it in. So in our scripts, GUI, yeah, that's where our HUD stuff is. So I'll bring in HUD ammunition bombs. Okay, and we will add it to this here once Unity catches up, of course. I really hope they improve the speed of Unity with the newer updates, because switching from 2021 to 2022 is kind of painful, to be honest. Okay. So we need to add the container. Is going to be explosives, and then we need to provide a prefab. And the prefab, for now, will be this object. For now. And yeah, let's see how that goes, and then I'm going to go modify that prefab, of course, because I want to use the pixel art that I made instead of this graphic. which is kind of old right now. So let's see what this looks like though. I think I may have forgotten something. I need to add the animations. Bomb, and then do I need to? Let's go into the prefab here. Animations, property group, layer, environment. Yeah, definitely not environment. This should be GUI. Okay, I'll need to make a, maybe duplicate it, because I don't know where this is being used, if it's being used anywhere. Either way, we'll figure it out. Okay, so let's go ahead and run this and jump into a game room and see what happens. Okay. Oh, it's so much better having that timer there. And of course, the timer goes away once the round ends. Okay, so new round. Okay, so we got our one explosive there. We use it, it kind of dims a bit. And then it comes back. Okay, so I got a bit of a dim thing going, alpha transparency going, but it is keeping track. I want to pick up more bags specifically to increase my counter. No bags so far, really. That's kind of strange, but okay. Nothing. Wow. Okay, so we'll just have to wait for the 2-minute timer to provide. There we go. There's one. Ooh, that didn't animate properly. You can see it kind of got squished. I'm not sure what happened there. But let's see what happens when we do this. Huh. Yeah. Okay, so what's happening there is that it's on the wrong angle. So this one is facing the camera. This one is not. So in the prefab, it's not facing the camera. It has a minus 55-degree angle correction, so it can stand vertically. But in actuality, that's not what I want. We want it to face the camera. Okay, well, I would say it's kind of working. I want to pick up another pickup bag to max out. Okay, and there's our max. Okay, so we need to offset it as well because it's supposed to be centered. Or maybe in the script I can offset it. Actually, it's probably better to do it in the script to offset it, because right now this is the center point and it's building to the right. I want them to be centered. So the first one should be basically here, second one here, third one, and then fourth one here, right? But that's a minor thing. So let's fix this first. So we'll go into the prefab. Where's the, oh, it's not here. Okay, so it's when we add it. So we'll need to go into the script. We need to reset the transform rotation. So local position. Not exactly sure what that's doing, but this is looks like where we instantiate it. So let's go here and say game object.transform.local rotation equals quaternion dot Euler new vector 3 0f 0f 0f. I could have just said vector 3 0. Let's try that. Vector 3 0. Okay, so that should reset it. So let's test that out first. And yes, I am aware it's pronounced Euler. How do you get Euler from Euler? How do you get oil, which is OIL, from EUL? It's one of those English things that I don't quite, I don't see the logic, right? If you wanted it to be called Euler, right, it should be OIL, right? It shouldn't be EUL, right? That's just my opinion. I'm sure there's people that disagree with me, but it just doesn't make sense. Okay. So we'll do this, just double check this, and then I'll do the position offset, and then we'll move on to something else. Oh yeah, no, I still want to replace the graphic. Let's end this round. I want to replace the graphic with the pixel art here that you see, and then maybe reduce the transparency a little bit. I don't know. I don't know if I need to do that right now. Maybe that's kind of a final polish thing we'll leave for later. Okay, so we got one explosive. Let's go pick up some more and see to make sure that they are not at the undesirable angle. There's okay. One is smaller than the other. Why is that? So that means the one that we put in initially is at the wrong scale? I don't know. There's that bug again with the bombs disappearing, and then there's a performance hiccup, so it kind of lost quite a bit of frames temporarily. Okay, so the first one is too big for whatever reason. What scale is it at? So this one is at scale 1. This one is at scale, okay, so at 0.75. Why? Why is there a difference? Okay, so there's the 0.75. Okay, so that's for those that are created, but then there's one there by default, which Doesn't seem to follow that logic. Is there should be a children reference. Okay, so children count. There it is. So get child. Okay. So that means the first one that's there doesn't necessarily need to be there. If we were to remove it, it should still be created, right? Let's test that out. But let's also go and have another look at this. So this prefab, oh, it has no specific, that makes it a little tricky to find if it's being used somewhere else. So that is inside of prefab's generic? No, definitely not. I want to make a different one from this one. So let's go ahead and duplicate it. So we'll use this one. So this one is going to be HUD explosive object, we'll say, because it could be anything, right? We're gonna be changing the graphic of it later, so it's going to be explosive object, or we can say explosive bomb. Let's go with bomb. It's rather specific, and that's what we want to be, is specific. Okay, and then we'll move that into the UI folder. Okay, let's go over here and set the prefab. Okay, and then let's remove this. And so we removed it. I want to go this one. Oh, I see. I built it in pieces. That's actually not a bad idea. I'm going to leave it as that. However, I'm going to disable those two. And I'm going to swap out the first piece to use our sprite atlas. It was bomb or explosive or something. There we go. Explosive. Okay, so let's see what happens when we go into a game room. Will it create that first instance, or will it crash? I'm not really sure. Oh, we just missed the round. Okay. Oh, the position is off, but okay. So it did create the first one. So we'll need to move it up a little bit more because this one has a different center position. Okay, so what we need to do is move it up a tiny bit. I think the size is fine at 75% of actual size. The transparency, I think it maybe doesn't need to be so transparent. I think the transparency might be a bit too much, but I don't really care at this time, or it's not that I don't really care. I do care, of course, but I don't think it's that important to start messing around with that kind of thing right now. So we'll leave it as something for later. However, the offset position from -1, we'll change that to -2. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is I want to do the X offset. I want it to center. I want it to center. So how do we determine positioning offset actually? Because I'll need to use position offset and the total to multiply them and then divide by 2, and that should give us our X offset, and then we'll offset it by every single individual after that. So where's position? Where do we determine position? Oh, these alphas. Okay, let's fix that real quick. So alpha on available and unavailable. Let's fix that real quick. Nope, not serializable. Serialized field. Private float. Alpha ammo available equals it was 0.6. Let's go with 0.8. And we'll duplicate this line. Alpha ammo, instead of available, we'll go with unavailable. I think it was 0.25. Let's bring that up to 0.35. And then we'll use these instead. That'll be a quick fix. Okay, just so it's not hard-coded in the code, because I'm not going to remember that later, but it's easier to just change values in the inspector that are serialized. Okay, let's see if there's any more magic numbers like that. The offset one should be in here somewhere as well. Where is the offset? Because something has to calculate their position. Oh, spacing horizontal. Yeah, it was right there. I didn't see it. Okay, so let's change this to a serialized field as well. Okay. Bomb icon spacing horizontal. Let's simplify that wording a little bit. So let's change that to horizontal spacing ammo icons. Okay. Now that we have that, let's see, where's it used? Okay, so if it's used here, then that means this is where we need to calculate. Yeah, so this is where we would calculate the total offset. Let's see, is it used anywhere else? Nope, that's it. Okay, so this is our point then. So when we say create ammo slot, what we need to first do is, what is property group? Oh, alpha. Interesting. Okay. Okay. So what we want to do is get the total. So float total, no, let's go, not total, combined width equals create ammo slot. Okay, that's how many you're going to create. What I want to know is how many is our maximum capacity. Max or current? Max, I think, because current means how many is available for usage. So that times horizontal spacing icons, so that'll give us the total width to be used. So then we can say float offset position X equals combined width divided by 2F. Oops. Right, so that'll give us our offset to the X. So we will always add on to it. So it'll actually need to be a negative. So this will be a negative value. So position X will be whatever this is, and then position X plus equals offset position. Let's see what that does. I actually want to see what this is. Let's go debug.log. So what I want to do is I want to see capacity max. So whatever our total capacity is, I want to see combined width. And then I want to see offset position X. And that should put it, in theory, I'm pretty sure I'm forgetting something, but in theory, that should put it in the correct location. How accurate that is, we'll find out. We will definitely find out. Actually, can we do it as a test on start? Can we just say check ammo amount? Yeah, I think we can do it as a test. We could set this for testing. Okay. So on the value of, or as a value of 1, let's see what this does. Because then I don't want to have to keep going into the game room, pick up items, or pick up bags to get the thing. So let's see, that didn't do anything. So our ammo is 1, combined width is 0.4, max position offset is minus 0.2. Yeah, I definitely forgot some calculation, but since I can't visually see it, wait, it's there, but it's not. Okay. Maybe I need to say ammo current equals underscore ammo max. Maybe that will kind of force it to update. I just wanted to display. I don't want to have to log in every time and go into a game room and pick up items just to have it display. I want to display it and test. And then I'll disable that code, of course. Oh, Cog 3D. Wow, Mr. Vegan Man himself. How are you doing today? May the force be with you, and with you too, good sir. May the force be with you as well. I hope you're doing well. Welcome to the broadcast. Just kind of trying to figure out some of this stuff. How busy have you been? I am always busy. There's never a time when I am not busy, but I do try to, no matter what, make time to do the things that I enjoy doing, and working on this project is one of them. It's like my relaxation, my zen, my whatever you want to think about it, something that I look forward to doing. It's like playing video games for fun, but I'm not necessarily playing. I'm making it, so it's even more fun, because then later we'll be able to play it together. But how are you doing, though? It's been a while since I've seen you. Hope you're doing well. All right, so I need to fix this position offset. It needs to be offset by a half width, so that if it's a 0, right? Or sorry, if it's ammunition of 1, the offset should be 0, so it's centered. And then for every single other one is when the offset should be taken into account. So that should be an easy fix. Oh, okay. So yeah, okay, then I already answered the question. I mean, I've been busy, and how have you been? Same. I've been very busy. But making good progress too on the project. As you can, you'll shortly see very soon some of the cool things I've been working on, but it's coming together. So that's really good. But what have you been busy on? Have you been programming? I remember you mentioned quite a while ago you were working on some stuff, but you still working on a little side project of your own, or what? All right, so what I want is to take that offset and add that to position width. So we will add a half. So this divided by 2f. So that should give us our half. So then if we have 1 and only 1, it should reset, or it should be centered. I program business apps and learning to program games with Unity so I can stay home. Sounds like a good plan. Sounds like a good plan. Oh, our offset position X is still 0.2. Oh no, that's correct. It'll be 0.2, but this one is at correct value. Okay, so then let's correct that. So our offset position X is going to be combined with, okay, let's do this differently. So it'll be combined with let's do it like this. I don't know if there's a better way. I'm not thinking quite clearly right now, but let's do it this way. So we add it here instead of adding it later on. So that should still give us the same result, but the output should look a bit more appropriate. But how's your experience been going with learning Unity and whatnot? I've personally, I'm barely scratching the surface with Unity, and I can do some pretty cool stuff as it is. I mean, of course, you can see that, but Unity goes pretty deep. There's like always like a million more things to learn, no matter like how much you know. There's just so much more. Okay, so that looks correct. Let's go and change that value. So instead of a 1, let's go with a 2 and see what a value of 2 gives us. So 1 should be at position minus 0.2, and the other one should be at positive 0.2. So it should offset it and always be centered to the bottom of the screen. Okay, so that looks pretty good to me. Okay, so that's minus 0.2 and positive 0.2. Okay, so I'm confident that that's working. So let's go and test it in the round, in the game room. Let's see how that goes. So now you'll get to see the what the game around kind of looks like, and the particle effect that I added for the explosive, which looks awesome, and it was fun. Okay, so this one has some time left on it. Okay, let's end this round so we can jump into this one. So the goal is to max out our bags, our how many stuff we can pick up, and it should all be centered correctly. And then it should reset for next round, and everything should be in the right positions, hopefully. Okay, so there's our first one, and here's our explosion particle effect. It gets bigger and bigger the more stuff you pick up, and I think it looks pretty good. Okay, so there's our bag. Ooh, okay, so position-wise, not so great. So those two are overlapping. I'll need to look at that. Okay, so maybe they need more spacing. I'm not really sure. Okay, so it looks like no, they're not centered. Okay, so I must have overlooked something on the logic side of it. What happened there? Okay, so this one is at 0, 0.2, 0.4, 0.6. Okay, that's definitely not correct. Okay, so I must have overlooked a detail. It's been slow for me since I'm so busy with work and etc. So I had to change my attitude about learning Unity so I don't get frustrated since I'm not learning it so easily. That's understandable. There's quite a bit of a steep learning curve depending on some of the stuff that you want to do. I definitely know what you mean on that side of it. I don't look at it as a future career now, but see it as learning it and seeing victory as I learn things in blocks of learning. Yeah, no, that's definitely good. So you're learning in increments instead of trying to do like a huge thing all at once. So I get better rewards like that and see myself moving forward. Yeah, no, definitely. That's a good approach, and everyone's different, right? Like, and I've said this before many times. Everybody has a different learning curve, right? Like, my learning curve on some things is really good, right? But there's a lot of things that my learning curve is not so great. And then there's other things that my learning curve is pretty bad, right? But everyone's different, right? So that's what makes it really interesting in that your learning curve on some things might be maybe not so great in some areas, but then be exceptionally good in other areas. And I could be the complete opposite, right? That doesn't mean that neither of us can learn or should or shouldn't learn a certain path or go pursue a certain path, because in the end you can still get to the same result. It's just some things are going to be a bit slower, other things are going to be a bit faster, meaning some things are going to be easier, some things are going to be more difficult. And that's how we all are. That's how I look at it too. Like, for example, math is not my strong suit. It really isn't. But for some reason, when I focus my mind onto wanting to achieve something like mathematical equation, whether it's trigonometry or something that I need functionality wise to work, I still don't understand the math. But based on research, I can manipulate the numbers and make it do what I want it to do, even though I still don't really understand it, right? So, but for someone else who math is their strong suit, but doing logical programming and formulas is not, right? They'll have the opposite. The math part will be easy for them, but then figuring out the logic and making like complex or tricky kind of logic work in a certain way might be more difficult for them. But, you know, that's okay though, because like I said, we're all different, right? And that's perfectly okay. It's just the way it is, right? I don't think it would even make sense if we all had the same learning curve. We would all be like too similar. You want diversity. Diversity is a good thing. Being a perfectionist slows me down. LOL. Yeah. I think we've all been there at some point. But being a perfectionist is... It's really difficult to kind of explain, but if you're into like certain types of things, I notice those who are more artistic or are more towards UI or design and those kinds of things, they'll go down to the pixel perfect accuracy because that's inherently how they think, right? Whereas others, they they may not go for the visual perfection, but they'll go for the logical perfection, right? So it's on both sides of the spectrum. But then if you happen to be the guy that tries to be a perfectionist on both sides, on both the visual and the logical, right, then you're in for a treat, because you're just punishing yourself, right? And I'm not saying you shouldn't try to, improve, but initially, and I'm guilty of this too, I'll spend time on something to try to get it to look just right, right? And I'll tunnel vision on it so much. And then after it's done, I'm like, yes, I got it, right? And then 2 hours later, I'm like, oh, wait, I'm not actually going to use that. I'm going to do this other thing. And it's like, I just, for a brief period of time, you're focused, but your mind is also clouded in that you tunnel vision, right? So, it happens. Not a big deal, right? I mean, in the end, it's all about learning. You can't go wrong with learning. It's fun to learn, right? I enjoy it. Like, if you watch these broadcasts, and I'm sure you have, you'll see me make countless number of mistakes. And it's not that I don't care. I do. I'll come back and I'll clean it up, but I try not to indulge the perfectionist side of me, even though sometimes you'll definitely see me kind of maybe get derailed a little bit and go down that path. Like kind of right now, trying to get these things working. That's a logical thing that I need to get working, but I feel compelled to get these to display correctly instead of the way that they're displaying right now. It's just how I am, right? We're all who we are. Okay, so with that, what I need to do is I need to get this working correctly. So let's maybe restructure a little bit of the logic, because it seems like there's two paths of logic for the position placement. And I think that's what's kind of causing it. So let's see, create ammo slots. Okay, but this only, okay, that's what I need to do. So I need to separate out position from creation. Okay. Easy enough. Yeah, I should have noticed that earlier, but I didn't. Okay. So after create, what we should be doing is private void update ammo slot positions. And we should move that into its own function. That way we can call this function at any time. That's the part that slows me down. My focus on one item and trying to perfect it and being sure that it's the best way to program. Yeah, we've all been there, done that. And that's the thing. I wish when I was learning programming, I wish that was something that was taught and explained more clearly, because I see so many people making that same mistake. And I'm still kind of guilty of that, to be honest, still, just because it's a difficult habit to move away from, is to try to get it right the first time, or try to make it its best. Like, let's say you're making something, you try to maximize the performance out of it right off the beginning on the first creation. That is not a good usage of time. And I do that all the time. And I try to catch myself doing that, so then I can move away from that and kind of be more mindful of it. So then I use my time more productively moving forward. it's kind of I don't know. It's an interesting challenge though. I can't say there's a perfect solution for it, but what I can say though is as long as you're mindful of it and you remind yourself of it, and when you remind yourself of it, think about it and go, okay, I just caught myself doing X habit that I know is not ideal. Let's just throw some together and then move on and then come back to it when it's appropriate. Of course, document it of what you need to come back to, but I'm trying to do that myself. I'm trying to. Okay, so we're moving the position stuff out of here. So position, position, position. Okay. So then we will change this from position to vector 3, 0. Okay, so position can be completely taken out. Okay, so I think that's okay for that. I'll clean it up, but for right, I want to move to the position one. So amount is, and I think this is kind of where things got a little bit messed up, was we want to know amount. Let's change that to what it should be. It should be children count equals container bombs dot transform dot children count. Oh wait, I already had that here. Whoops. Okay, so we loop through that. And then this we don't. Yeah, I think that's what was kind of causing the okay, so we'll say position. Oh, we do need position. So let's go with vector 3 position. So vector 3 position equals our current counter multiplied by the spacing, okay, and then our offset. Okay, so that looks good. So we'll take all of this stuff out that we don't need. We're going to focus specifically on position. So that means we need a reference to the object itself. Object is going to be game object. Will equal container bombs dot transform dot get child. What does that return? Get child returns returns a transform. Oh, okay, so that's why. Okay, transform. So we'll call it child transform to be more specific here. Wait, why was that? Why is that giving me an error? Unassigned. Oh, okay. Actually, no. We want to get it. So, because we don't want to change anything else, we want to get the current position. So position equals child transform dot local position. So we get it from the child transform local position, and then we only modify the X, and then we apply it back. Yeah. So then we take it out of here entirely, and we move it into its own function. So then we can call this function at any time. Which is what I want. Create ammo slot. Ammo increase, decrease. No. Where's the reset one? Hide ammo. Check ammo. Okay, so I guess just from check ammo. Okay, so when we call check ammo, if it's less, maybe we can just toss it in here as well. That way it'll always get called. If we call check ammo, it'll update the positioning instead of having to call this function. Or sorry, instead of having to call this function. Because create ammo slot comes from here. Yeah, let's separate this out. So we'll move that into check. If we're checking ammo amount, let's also update the positions, because it's not going to be done very often. It's just going to be once in a while kind of thing. So I think it makes sense that if we're calling check, let's call update the positions. It's only going to be like up to maximum of 4 anyway. So I'm okay with that, but then that will guarantee correct positioning every time. And that's what I want. Okay, so let's test that and see. I'm sure I may have made a mistake here or there, but let's find out anyway and see how this goes. Okay, so with that running, let's see what it looks like. Did I not have the test stuff active, or did I disable it? It is active. Oh. Yeah. Okay. That's not ideal. It's into the ground. It's because it's at the 0, 0 position. Okay, so we do need to call update position after we create, not just on check. But if we create, though, oh, right, it's because I did this. Right. Okay, so it does work. It's just that because this is for test, I did this. This doesn't have this. Okay, that makes sense. So that should update the positioning. I think. Nope, same thing. Okay, so what am I missing? We are, oh, yeah, of course. We need to reset the position on creation. On instantiation, we need to set local position is vector 3.0 inside of its parent. That should fix it. So after reparenting, always set position. That's something I keep forgetting all the time. Especially if you're going to do scale, a rotation, anything, always reparent first, then do the transform stuff. It's very important. So there we go. So now we have 2, and they should be hopefully appropriately positioned. Minus 0.2 and 2. Okay, so let's test it in the game. Okay, that's fine that it's showing 2. It's test anyway, but I should have taken it out. Will it reset to 1? It should, I think. Okay. Okay, so that's 2. Uh-oh. I didn't mean to do that. Okay, so we got it up to 2, and then I kind of forgot which direction I was walking. So let's go to the next round and try again. Actually, let's fix that first. Disable the test stuff. And then we'll go again, just to make sure that it is working properly without that test logic potentially conflicting with it. Okay, let's go to next round. Okay, so let's see it in action. This is the real test. Okay, so we got 1, so that's correct. Okay, so now we got 2. Three. That looks correct to me. So 1 more and we'll be at capacity. And 4. Okay, let's have a look at the positioning of them. Minus 0.6, that seems right to me. So then this one be 0.2, and then this one is positive 0.2 and positive 6. Okay, yeah, no, that is working. I'm pleased with that. So we got our clock active. We got the ammunition being displayed. I really would like to figure out that bug there, and there it is too. It happened. The first one, it disappeared. The second one and third one appeared while the first one disappeared. That's definitely a logical bug that I need to figure out and see kind of what's going on there. But not sure I can so easily figure that out right now. I have a feeling it might be with the object pool system, because it could be reusing an object that wouldn't make sense. I'm not sure what would be causing it, but either way, I'm pleased with it so far. So the next thing is, oh yeah, I want to have a look at the controller thing. Yeah, let's do that. The controller, let's activate joystick. Okay, so when joystick is active, here's what happens. Navigation goes up to the top, and I'm controlling the navigation at the same time as my character, which is obviously not what I want, right? So this is not how it should be behaving, right? I thought I fixed this before, but apparently not. So this is with controller. Yeah. Okay, so let's have a look at that and see if we can kind of figure out what's going on there. So this is good. I can disable the debug stuff. I'm not going to worry about cleaning up the logic because I'm confident I'll come back and I'll change some stuff later. But for now, okay, that looks okay to me. Okay, so let's see what happens here. How do we get the focus all mixed up? I should be able to just move my character around, but focus is on the... So right now, focus is my character. Then if I press any button, okay, maybe not any button, the south button, that brings up the... How do we fix that? And what's going on there? Let's have a look at that logic. Okay, so focus readjust on direction. Okay, focus selection type, auto select child. Focus, what are we set to? Auto select last. Auto select last, okay. So what we need to do is we need to respect that if menu is collapsed, if main menu is collapsed, it should not be doing this. Check if main menu is collapsed. So how do we check that? We need to see, I think this one here, when it collapses and expands, I think we store it somewhere. Yeah. Let's use that. That's what I wanted. To do that, we have to check to make sure that we're not in, that it exists. So we got to make sure that it's not in the process of being destroyed. So if it's being destroyed, meaning if we're exiting the application, because sometimes it takes a little while to exit, we don't want to execute other types of logic, especially something like this, because then all it'll do is just crash on exit and it just adds more complications. So we want to check if it equals null, return. Sorry, not null. Return, right? Yeah, just return. And then if, another check, SQL framework instance dot manager focus controller equals null, again return. If both of those are valid, then we can check if menu is open, no, if menu is open equals false, return. So it won't. Yeah, check if main menu is collapsed. First check that managers exist, meaning not in a state of destroy. Let's move that one down. Okay. So let's see what this does. Because I think that's really what's happening is it's the focus. The script is trying to set focus and it's a bit too aggressive, and it doesn't need to be. Oh, I thought I hit play. Okay, so I can move around and it still has focus up there. So we need to so on menu collapsed, we need to clear focus. On menu collapse, we need to clear the focus. So let's try this. I intentionally want to clear the focus on the collapse specifically. So let's see what that does. We'll need to restart it again, and hopefully it'll work. Nope, that didn't work. Okay, I'm not sure what the solution would be here. How do we remove focus? Did that even execute? I wonder. I don't think I'm thinking clearly right now to solve that. So what I want to do is, I don't even know if this is being, so let's have a look at this and say debug.log current focus should be cleared. Okay, and then we'll go over here, and for testing, of course, debug.log, and we'll say reset focus to previous selection. Okay, let's see what that does. So when we collapse the menu, it should clear the selection. If it clears the selection, there shouldn't be a ring around the object. Okay, so there's no ring there. Where's that text? It's not there. It should say current focus should be cleared. It's right here. Okay, so if I move around, that's fine. If I press the south button, okay. Oh, how come it's working now then? Maybe I didn't save the script. That's possible. Okay, but then if I press start, okay, so we have focus up here where it should be. My character is still moving, but shouldn't, but that's okay. That's another thing. And then when we collapse it, focus is still there. Yeah. Okay, so when we collapse it, it didn't lose focus. I was hoping it would. Because that ring is here, it has focus, and the finger pointer shows that it has the focus. I want it to give up that focus. Similar to when I click in the open area and nothing has focus. Otherwise, this will continue to take input, and pressing the south button the same as doing this, which is triggering the button on click event. And I don't want that. I need to run this. I may be back in 30 minutes if you're here. Sounds good. Yeah, I think I'll be here. No worries. Do what you got to do. Okay, so I guess what I need then is to see Unity event system clear focus. So what we're looking for is set selected game object. Maybe there's another function that can clear selected game object. That would be, I think, rather helpful. So let's try that. Unity event system. Let's search for this function. Set selected game object. And then that's not what I was looking for, but okay. Okay, so current selected game object, set selected game object, and then is pointer game object on disable, enabled, blah, 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 blah. I want to clear. That's a lot of functionality. Is there a clear? No. No clear. No. Definitely don't want the mono behavior stuff. I want the specific properties for this. Okay, so returns the current. We have already selecting. Current input method. Current selected game object, which is the current one. First selected game object is focused. But how do we clear though? Or maybe it did clear and it reset the focus. So let's have a look at that. Current focus should be cleared. Let's try that again, just to see. Okay. So initially it's working. So that's working. Press start, it goes up, that's correct. So it should have focus onto that area, which is correct. So then if we press start, it collapses, and it does say the last thing it does is current focus should be cleared, but it's not, it's still active. Okay, so that's, I'm doing something not right there. So let's have a look at that. Let's see what we can find. So that's exactly what I'm doing, but it's not working. It's not clearing it. So that's pretty much what I'm doing. Okay, so that means I'm kind of on the right track, but something's not quite behaving as it should. And that's the part I'm not entirely sure about. Okay, so everybody's pointing to the exact same thing. So that, I mean, it looks like it's the same thing, but so I have my debug right here, but then I'm immediately telling it current selected game object, set selected game object to null. Let's test it. Debug.log. Event system dot current dot current selected game object dot name. That should crash or tell me null or something. Just to see what happens. Because if that comes out as a crash or a null, then that means something somewhere is resetting it. And I need to find out what. That's going to be an interesting challenge. But we'll find out. And we'll see what happens there. It is very humid in my apartment today. Okay, so that's a crash. Okay, so that's a good crash actually. So let's test it. If it equals null, right? No game object has focus. Otherwise, give me the name of the object that does have focus, right? So just a simple test. And let's see what that results in. Okay, so no game object has focus. Okay, that's correct at this time. Nope, that's not correct. How did that work? So if we play it, no, this has focus, but it's saying no game object has focus. How's that work? Okay, let's clear it. Okay, so now nothing has focus. Okay, so we press start, and then we collapse it, and it says no game object has focus. But we clearly can see that this has focus, because if it didn't, it would look like that. So I'm logically doing something wrong. So what I want to do then is let's disable this code. Let's disable the auto refocus thing. Oh. Interesting. Okay. GUI primary nav. Where's the where's that script? Nope, not there. There we go. Auto select. Let's go to none. Auto select last item, and we're changing it to none. Component on select. On select register. Yeah, I don't care about that. Okay, so let's try that and see what does that do for us. I'm just curious if that's what's causing it. Okay, nope, still has focus. So that's not it. So something else is causing it then. Okay. So that solution that I just attempted was not going to work. So we'll put this back to last selection. So then what is taking the focus is the question. I have a feeling it's the primary navigation. Let's have a look at that. Is there anything here that takes focus? So right off the beginning, it does what? Oh, select default. That's what's happening. So the select default is setting the default selection to index position 0. And then once that happens, I think it might be in the base class. I think that's what's happening. Yeah, I'm not thinking clearly right now. It's pretty much end of day for me. I think that's what's happening. it gets difficult to do tricky logic when it gets to about this time. So maybe it might be better for me to leave this, move on to something that's a bit easier to do, and then I'll come back to it at a later time and see with a fresh mind and be able to implement the logic then. Yeah, I think that's a better usage of the time right now, because I don't think I'll be able to solve this right now. I'll need to dig into it, like really dig into the logic. So this time nothing's broken. It's just focus is not working in the way that I would like for it to work. So that's okay. That just means that we can't use the gamepad controller to do any testing. Because then I want to test it with the gamepad controller, because when using a gamepad, for some reason, the performance just tanks. And I don't know why. So to do that, I need the gamepad controller to be working correctly for me to be able to test it, because they're, like I said before, the performance should be the same whether you're using keyboard and mouse, touchscreen, or gamepad controller. It shouldn't matter depending on what input you're providing, right? So, but that's fine. Let's leave it. What else can we do then in terms of functionality? I don't want to try to track down any bugs at this time. Just not in the right mindset. What I'd like to do is do something that we can actually get done. So maybe the KO, when a user gets knocked out, we could maybe do that, I guess. Let's have a look at that, because I do want to get to that at some point. May as well have a look at it now. So we'll go into prefabs, resources, prefabs. What we want is model. Okay, so there should be one for KO. There it is. No reference to the animation property curve, which it should have. Let's go ahead and open this. Okay, so KO, on character model KO, test KO is direction right. That's fine. Ooh, excuse me. Okay, so we need reference to character model, height modeled after 1 second, push force direction, and then with the push force direction, we want to, right, okay, so I scripted the animation using the animation property curve, but then if we, what if we don't have the animation property curve? Okay, let's put in a test. What we'll do is we'll go into yeah, I don't want to test in there. Let's go into our test scene, actually. I think that's a better place to test it. So we'll go into the test scene. Okay, do we have a character model? I wonder. Yep, we do have a character model. Standing on top of a tree. Okay, so there's our test character. So what we need is a test button to trigger the KO effect, and then we'll go from there. So where's our test buttons? There we go. So we'll say KO model. And we'll change the text to KO. And then we'll, of course, reposition it. Whatever. Okay, and then we'll go for the button event. Let's remove these. So on click, what we want to do is trigger the character model. So we'll go to character model, KO, test KO, and then let's see what happens when we trigger the KO event. Oh, welcome back. Hope everything went okay and you got to do what you wanted to do. But I decided to just, okay, so it does kind of work. Not exactly. I decided to just move away from that logic. It's too complex for me to do it this time. I'm not in the right state of mind to do that kind of debugging. I need a clear state of mind. So I just moved away from it recently because I wasn't really making progress on it. There's layers and layers of logic that I need to be able to understand. So I think it's just better usage of my time to do something easier right now, and then I'll tackle that later. So I moved over to the KO of the model because this I think is going to be really fun to kind of play around with. So similar to the explosion, right? So when we have the explosion and we do the particle effect, it's going to kind of borrow some elements to some way. We're going to add a particle effect and whatnot for sure. But the user is the character model is supposed to get flung across the screen. But right now, we don't have that logic or something. I'm not sure exactly what's going on, but that's kind of where we're at right now. So let's have a look at it and see for the KO, what's going on. Okay, so it needs a reference to the animation property curve, which is where exactly? There's a lot of stuff. Animation property curve is empty. Okay, so that would explain that. Okay, but we still need that reference. Sorting group, I'm pretty sure that was legacy, so let's just remove that component. Where's our RKO, we need this reference populated. So I'm just going to drag and drop this into right there. Okay, so we need to know what it should be populated with. So let's collapse some of this stuff just to make it a bit easier to see. And we'll leave the main one up. Okay, so we need to populate this. The question is, what do we populate it with? Good thing is I've already kind of done this stuff in the other project where I'm moving everything over and cleaning it up. So, so it should be here. So if we search for character model, I should be able to grab it out of here. Animation property curve, and there's RKO right there. So it modifies X, Y, position X, position Y, and movement on Y. So of course we need to change it to the appropriate Z. Well, let's bring this in. Okay, so what we can do is just right click on it and say copy, and go up here, right click and paste it. The references are likely going to be wrong. Yeah, so that's not right. It should be pointing to the parent object. Okay. So movement on X should be the parent object. Movement on position Y, position Y. There's two of them. Why do we have so many? Really, it should be XYZ. That's what it should be, is XYZ. So we'll change these references to XYZ. So it'll be position X, and then vertical height is Y, movement on Y, this one should be Z. Yeah, that makes sense, right? So this would be our trajectory for being flung on the X. This would be our vertical height, so the Y. So when we get flung, we go up and then come back down. And then the Z would be the depth, which may or may not get used depending on which direction we're being flung. Let's test that and see, what does that do? It's going to be totally broken, but that's okay. That's what makes it fun. And it did absolutely nothing. Okay. So that was a little bit uneventful. Oh, yeah, okay. That's why it's not working. Whoops. I think I disabled that for testing. That would explain why it's not working. Don't put a return at the start of a function. It's not going to work. That is today's coding tip. But if you want to do it for testing, it's absolutely okay to disable your logic like that. Okay, so let's try it again and see what happens. Okay, I would say that kind of works, but it didn't reset. Oh, it crashed. Is inactive. What is inactive? I want to... Oh, right, of course, because it got disabled. Okay, so for testing, I want to be able to test repeatedly. So we'll bring it back. Where's that test function? Test. So we'll get that visible to true. Character model dot transform dot local position to reset the position. We'll say we'll just put something in vector 3, not 3j. We'll say new vector 3. What did we put as the starting position? So it's 0f, that, and then minus 0.4. Okay, so we reactivate the model so it's visible again. We reset the local position back to the test position. It doesn't matter because it's a test function, right? Okay, so now we should be able to repeatedly fling the character across the screen. That's always fun, right? This time, since we're going to be working within Unity, I want to definitely stylize this KO. So there's a bit of randomness to it. The sort is getting messed up again. I can see that he's going behind the pickup object, which is not ideal. I'm still not sure how to solve that. If you guys have any ideas of how to solve that strange sorting behavior. Okay, so I would say this is working when it's being kind of flung to the right. So let's change that. What if we changed it from the right to the left? I know the values are hard-coded, but I just want to see what it results in. Because then what I want to add is I want to add a bit of a trailing effect, like a particle effect, trailing effect, and then maybe something else to kind of stylize it a bit more. I think that would be really fun. And of course, the actual animation that it's playing and the visual graphic and whatnot, that'll come in later. But for right now, the focus is on just the core functionality of it. Just kind of basically doing the prep work, really. Okay, so this one should go to the left. Okay, so I would say that's pretty good. Again, it's sorting incorrectly. is what it feels like. Okay, so let's go backward, or one of the other directions. First direction, let's go with, so we have center, so that's vertically up. We have down, and then we have up. Let's go with up. Up should push him northward. Let's see how that looks. I think this is definitely one of those kind of things where particle effect, when used right, can add a lot of style to it, which will be fun. I think it'll look good. Similar to how the explosion, you know, it looks really like stylized. So it's got that nice satisfying poof to it. I want to, okay. So that's okay. We could definitely add some vertical height to it. Can see the sort again is not quite right, or maybe it's just disappearing quickly and I don't notice it. Oh, never mind, it's going into the ground. That's why. Okay, so that is up. Let's go with, wait, up should have went backwards. Up went up vertically and then came back down. Let's look at it from another angle. Up should have been backwards. Huh. Yeah, up should have been backwards. It's just being flung straight up instead of being pushed backwards. Interesting. Why is it only going up? So where is up? Oh, that's why. So movement on Y should be changed to Z, because these are dynamically set animations, so it'll do a range between. Okay, so that's why. So it should go up, should be on the X. No, I'm not thinking that clearly. Before it was on the X and on the Y. On the X and on the Y? No, that doesn't make sense. On the X and on the Y. That doesn't make sense. It should be on the Y and on the Z is what it should be. Yeah, I need to set these values correctly. Again, I don't think I'm in the right mindset to figure that out, but we do know that it's kind of working. So what I do want to add is I want to add a particle system, and we'll activate the particle system only when it's appropriate to do so, just to add a little bit of style to it. So I know I won't get it completed today or anything like that, but we can make a little bit of progress on it. So for right now, let's borrow the particle system from the explosion. Duration until recycle. Pullable object, play, or recycle. Yeah, no, I don't want to. I don't want to recycle it, but I do think I need a class to manage it. Because I don't want to keep adding all this stuff to the main character model. No, actually the KO will manage it. Never mind. KO will manage it. So we'll go particle system. We will add that to the KO. Yeah, that's what we'll do. So I'm just going to copy that to clipboard and then go to model. And then I guess we'll add it into the effects. Yeah, I think effects makes sense. So we'll say paste as child. Particle system. Let's actually nest it. Nest it. Yeah, I don't know if I want to nest it, but let's rename this. So this one is the KO particle system. Of course, we'll modify it. Okay, so then we'll set the reference to the KO. Okay. So now we have access to that. So on KO, we should be able to say test KO particle system dot play. Of course, this is not what we want it to look like in the end, but this is just the kind of the beginning of it. And oh yeah, I want to change the push direction. Let's go to back to the right, just because that one was kind of working. So we'll go back to push force to the right direction. Okay, so KO. Yeah, not exactly, but you kind of get the idea of that looks kind of strange, but okay. We can modify it and we can make it look good. All right, so now let's go into the particle system and have some fun with it. How are we doing for time? Oh, okay. So time-wise, it's kind of running low. I'll keep playing with it for a little bit, but it's getting pretty much near end of day for me. For those of you that that enjoy the broadcast, please hit that follow button. And I do broadcast on Tuesdays and on Fridays. Oh, and Tuesday coming up. So this Tuesday coming up, meaning the next broadcast is going to be a special one because it's going to be our event. So if you're here for the event, it'll be I will be broadcasting it, but it'll be a gameplay session. So we'll be playing on this Flash client, which is our old school Flash client, and we'll be playing. There's going to be a bunch of people, so if you're going to come, make sure you got your A game on, because the people that you're going to be playing against are going to be very skilled. They're going to be basically the top players, because those are people that have stuck around and still play periodically. So the game room is going to be packed pretty much, and then we're going to play in the game room for a bit, up to 8 players in one room. It gets chaotic, absolute chaotic, and it's really fun. And then afterward, if time allows, we'll probably go into the world and maybe fight a boss or something. It's going to be whatever time I can allocate that I normally do for broadcasting. It's going to be game time instead. And you're all welcome to come and play. If you want to know how to play with the old client, it's on the forum. You just need to download the Flash Player Projector, which is the official Flash Player Projector from Adobe. All the links and instructions are provided. And then you just need the Swift file, the preloader that will load the game. And then, of course, creating an account. I intentionally have always avoided linking the accounts to anything, so that way it's entirely separate. You don't need to link all the accounts of everything together. I never liked that. I was always against using Google or Facebook or whatever other types of accounts that were being passed around. It's a game. Let it have its own account. You don't need one account for everything, because that also makes it vulnerable in that if one person gets your account for one thing, they have your account for multiple things, right? Like a lot of people still use the same password for everything, right? Like that's just not good, right? Anyway, I'm not going to go on that rant. Yeah, it'll be a gameplay session, and it's something that we did about a month ago too as well, roughly. So it'll probably be likely an ongoing event, and then eventually when the new client catches up, we'll start playing with the new client, meaning this client here. It's still got a ways to go, but it's going to be really fun. It's going to be really fun. Why don't you play while on Twitch so everyone can watch, and it will increase your clientele? I think there's a little misunderstanding, because that's exactly what I just said. I'm going to be broadcasting it. It'll be on Twitch and on YouTube, just like this broadcast, but I'll be playing the game. There'll be no development, and there'll be a bunch of people, and you're welcome to come and play. Or just come watch the broadcast and watch me get destroyed by other players and have some laughs. That's basically what's going to happen. I can't seem to win at my own game, which is ironic, but at the same time, I consider it an achievement, because I'm quite proud of that other people have surpassed me in skill. So yeah, that's kind of, it's going to be Tuesday. So if you're here, it'll be the usual broadcast time. I was referring to every time you played. I rarely get an opportunity to play. My time is always allocated for one thing or another, and everything, like most of us, revolves around work. Work seems to take precedent over everything else, because it's your work, right? It's your means of income, right? So then everything kind of revolves around that, and then I try to allocate time for other things. So it's an interesting challenge to try to juggle everything, and we all experience that, right? We all do. Tuesday at 6:30. Yes, that's correct. 6:30 my time. So yeah, if you want to come watch, you're welcome to it. If you want to come play, you're welcome to it. Just keep in mind that the performance on the old Flash client is pretty bad. Like once you get 8 people in a game room, the performance, the target frame rate is 30. Most users with the way that Flash just works inherently, and the poor performance it gets with vector graphics, like just pure vector graphics, most people will get 10, 15 frames per second when there's 8 people in a room. But yeah, it's really fun though. I really enjoy it personally. It's something that I know a lot of players, because the community members, they've been asking me as well, right, to play. And I keep saying, like, it's not that I'm making excuses, but because I'm really busy, right? And any time that I'm not developing means it's time that I'm not developing, right? So, but I think it makes sense for me to allocate time every so often so the community can come together, and it gives us all a centralized time and place to kind of just jump online and just play together, have some fun, and have some laughs. So, yeah. Okay. You live in the city next to me? Yeah, I believe so. We'll recommend to play on Twitch also. Yeah. We'll see. It's going to be busy. Like usually when we do this, it's going to be pretty much a packed room, but some people will come play at different times, right? So it usually starts off a bit slow. There will be just me and like a couple of people. Then as the time progresses, there will be like a full room, right? So you may not be able to get in because maximum 8 players, right? And then when some people have had enough, or they want to go, hang out with others or whatever, that opens up a slot for other people to come in and be able to play in the game room. And then eventually, usually we just go hang out in the world for a bit afterward and just maybe fight a boss or two. You moved, right? Yes, I did. In the current apartment that I'm at right now, I moved again. That was, yeah, I move a lot. It's one of the side effects of being a renter, right? You're continuously moving and paying higher and higher rent, and just moving alone is so exhausting, and it's not fun. I don't like it. Okay, so let's see. Emission. Rate over time, we'll go to 50. Emission, shape, and whatnot, we'll leave that all the same for now. What I want to do is emission. That's fine, but I want to change the emission. I don't want it to be a burst. I want it to be a continuous emission. Not sub-emitters. I forget what the setting is. So let's see. Duration is 0.1. The length of particle system is emit. Oh, that's it, I think. Let's change that to a 0.5 and see what does that do. My daughter had to move back to her mom's this month. Yeah, it's really difficult right now for a lot of people. Oh, there we go. Yeah, it's challenging for everyone. It's one, moving sucks. It really does. And then two, it's just the current state of the world right now. It's really difficult for everyone to make a living, to whatever, right? It's just difficult time for everyone, and I respect that because we're all in different situations. Some people are slightly better off in some regard and less so in another, right? I'm no different, right? So I'm just another person, just working my 9-to-5 job. Previously, I used to work 2 jobs, right? That was brutal, right? Working 60 to 80 hours a week is not healthy, physically, emotionally, mentally, whatever you want to call it. It's just not healthy. But I used to do that. Now I just work only 1 job. Okay, so what I want to change is the emission. Nope, that's not it. Where's the force? Velocity over lifetime? I think, let's try disabling that, see what that does. So true. Yeah, I know. It's a difficult time, but everything changes in time, right? So I'm just like everyone else, just hoping for the best. Okay, so the push force is still... I think I want to leave that, but then change the speed over lifetime. No, size over lifetime. Where's the actual force? There's one of them that has the push force. Where's the push force? If my daughter stayed with her mom the last year, she would have had enough to purchase her own home. Well, that would be ideally the best scenario, but even that, it's a little extreme. Like homes, her income is just a tad short to get a mortgage. I know. I'm in a similar boat myself. I can't afford to buy it, which is ridiculous, right? And I don't want to go off on a tangent, but a home is meant for living. It is not meant as an investment for corporations, other people to go buy them up, right? Take the value up and then increase the cost of rent and then flip it like stock, right? That's not what it's there for, right? A home should be for those who want to live in, who want to raise a family in, right? Who want to make a living, right? If there's enough homes for everyone, which there may not be, but close to it, if there's enough homes for everyone, but those with the resources and the means, right, go and buy up all the supply, right? That doesn't leave anything for anyone else, right? And then what are those individuals supposed to do? They have no choice. They still need a place to live, right? So then the home that they could have bought is now the home that they're going to rent at a higher cost per month than it would have cost to buy and pay the mortgage. It's insane. It's absolutely ludicrous. However, that's the current state that we're in, right? And I'm not saying I have the answer for it, but it's like you have to look at it from the point of view of what's in the best interest of society as a whole. For select individuals to take this as stock, right, and take up all the supply and leave homes vacant and apartments. And I know this because I move around a lot, right? An average of the homes that I went to, and I don't want to point the finger, but let's just say an average of 10% of apartments are empty. Empty. No one's renting them. No one's renting them. Who owns them? Offshore investors, right? And I know this because I go to apartments to rent them, and you have to go through the property manager, right? There's an entire industry around it, which is absurd, right? So I've gone to places and I get the tour of the place and I ask them, how long has this place been empty, right? And sometimes you hear like, oh, it's just been like a month, right? Other times it's like 6 months or a year or more. And I'm like, okay, well, it's been empty for this amount of time. The price that you're asking for is well above market and it's pretty much like absurd. Would you consider a lower, more reasonable monthly rate for me to rent it from you? And I can assure you, I will take very good care of the place. The answer is just a dead, no emotional face whatsoever. Just no, like you're wasting my time. I have other people that I need to show this to, and somebody's going to rent it eventually. I'm like, okay, but it's been empty for a year, we'll say, as one of the examples, right? So you forfeit a year of potential renter income, right? And that's an apartment that is taken away from someone else who could be renting it, right? But for the investor, it doesn't matter because the current system, right, the way that it works, the value of the property goes up faster and has more generated value than they would make from renting it. So renting it is just a bonus, right? But they also don't want to rent it to someone who will put wear and tear on the apartment, because then they have to fix it if they want to resell it, right? So when they go to resell it, the cleaner it is and the more mint condition it's in, the more value it has for flipping it to the next person, right? Which is ironic, because then what that does is it creates an incentive, right, to leave the apartment empty. How ridiculous is that, right? So by leaving the apartment empty, they take a loss initially by not collecting rent, right? But then they gain that back and then some because it's kept pristine, right? When they go to sell it to the next person, and they'll just flip it and just keep flipping it again and again and again. When I think about that, it's not a positive thing. So anyway, that's the current state of things in the BC area, and it's not just here; it's a lot of places. That's just the current state of things. Until we start looking at property as it's not okay to do what we're currently doing, because it only has negative effect, right? Like the whole declining society, declining, like people not wanting to have children because they can't afford it. This is a part of that, not the main reason, but it's a contributing factor to that, right? So if you're not willing to address it at its source and you're only looking to bandage it, right? And I know I've seen the demonstrations or whatever that I get to experience because of previous employments, let's just say, that I've had. So I'm fully aware of these demonstrations that we have. Most of them are not put on network. You'll see a little article in the news about it, about a paragraph long, and they're quite continuous of people asking for the government to step in and say no, right? But it's a really complex thing, right? Because it's an entire system. It's an entire industry that's been made around just this one thing, right? So it's really difficult to even change that mindset. Because I know people that are also well off that I know, right, through acquaintances that buy properties. It's like, okay, cool, but you're not providing anything meaningful to society by buying properties, renting them at a higher cost, holding on to it for 5-10 years, and then selling it and making profit, and then buying more property. That doesn't actually provide any value to society whatsoever, right? If you're a builder and you're a house builder, okay, that's a bit different. For those people that buy empty lots or buy old houses or buy up, a group of houses that are run down that nobody wants to live in, they build apartment buildings or concrete buildings, that's different. You're providing value, right? Because you're creating livable homes. And that's okay, even though that has its flaws too, because those are usually bought out before they even are made, and they're bought out by investors in bulk. Yeah, I could go on forever. I don't even want to talk about this topic, to be honest. We're all in this together for the 99% of us. We're all in it together, right? It's just a matter of time until the system eventually catches up, because the laws and procedures and policies and all of this stuff, they're always lagging behind like a few decades or so. Eventually it will catch up and they'll be like, okay, so maybe it's not a good idea to allow this to happen. And that way, we'll start moving in the right direction. That's what I'm hoping, anyway. That's my hope. Because any system, no matter what the system, if it doesn't correct itself and it tilts one way or the other too much, it eventually fails. History has taught us this. Hopefully, as a society, as an intelligent society, where we are now, we see this and we can address this and restore the balance. That's really important, I think. And the only way to do that is together. No single individual can do that. That's impossible. I don't believe it will ever catch up. I hope it does. I really do. I believe it will go up and up nonstop. It will always have a breaking point. Like Japan, as an example, property has it is not seen as an investment. It's seen as a loss. In that it's an investment for an individual. Nobody buys property, as far as I know, for investments like they do in other countries. Just because now they're the end result example. They have an aging population, right? The people, the citizens who are there, they're not having children because they can't afford it, and it's too difficult to bring up and provide a proper living lifestyle, a life for a child, something that they deserve, right? So they don't have children. They prioritize money over society, and they did that for so long. And now they're in the situation where they have an aged population, and it's about to hit critical mass. So if you want to look at references of systems that are in the process of failing, that's the direction. And you only need one or two countries to experience that for the rest to realize, okay, this is not a good direction to go. Yeah, no, I agree with what you're saying. I just really hope that that things change. It's inevitable. Change is inevitable. Either you're contributing to it in a positive manner, or you have no choice and you're going with the flow like the rest of us, or you're contributing to it in a detrimental manner, right? You fall into one of those three categories or somewhere in between, whatever, right? But if there's too much momentum in the wrong direction, the system will always fail. It's inevitable, right? There's no such thing as infinite. Regardless of how much corporations like to think that there's infinite growth, there's no such thing. There never was. The only thing that is universally infinite is math. You can count to infinity. Nothing else is infinite. There's no resources. There's no anything that's materialistic that has infinite in the entire universe as far as we know. But let's ignore the universe. Let's just talk about Earth. Name one thing that's materialistic that is infinite. You can't. It doesn't exist, all right? So we have to change the way we think and look at it realistically as every action has an effect. Is it going to have a positive effect? Is it going to have a neutral effect? Or is it going to have a detrimental effect? We all contribute to that. Every single one of us. Okay, and I still can't remember what is giving this the push force, pushing this thing north. I don't remember. So start lifetime, okay, start delay, size. Where's the push force? It's in here somewhere. It's buried in here somewhere. Emission. Okay, emission, rate over time, 250. Yeah, not concerned. Rate over distance, no. Shape. Shape. Position. Rotation, scale. Nope, that's not it. Shape is not it. Velocity over lifetime. That's not it. Color over lifetime wouldn't be it. Size over lifetime wouldn't be it. Texture, animation is definitely not it. Renderer is not it. Wasn't there one called speed or something? I don't remember. I can't think straight right now. I'm just exhausted mentally. Anyway, so I think I'm just going to call it for today. And I'll continue working on this likely over the weekend. And Tuesday, the event. Be there to either have some fun and have some laughs, or come there and watch me get destroyed and still have some laughs. Either way, it's going to happen on Tuesday, but that's going to be really fun. So for those of you that are watching, thank you for watching. Feel free to hit that follow button if you want to know when I go live. You're welcome to join Discord, and I use Twitter and Instagram really just to say when I'm going live or when there's something worth mentioning about the project. Feel free to follow me, and all of these videos are archived on YouTube because I broadcast at the same time. So I just archive the videos onto YouTube. If you want to check out any of the previous stuff that I've been working on this project, you're welcome to it. Otherwise, I'll see you guys next time. Have a great weekend.